So, the first deck today is this Izzet Creativity list. It's built around the card Indomitable Creativity, which allows you to destroy X target artifacts or creatures. And basically, when you do that, you get to search through your deck until you find a creature card and put them onto the battlefield. And you can do that X times depending on how many X things that you destroyed. Now, in this deck, we are targeting the Locust God and Sage of the Falls, which are two cards that were already around pre-Jumpstart. This combo existed before, but it's gotten some new tools. So let's just quickly go over what the combo is. First, we have the Locust God, which is a 6-mana 4/4 flying. Whenever you draw a card, you create a 1/1 flying insect that has haste. Okay, by itself, not all that great. Now you have Sage of the Falls. Whenever Sage of the Falls or another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So, between the two of these cards, both of which kind of individually suck on their own, if you get both of these cards in play at a time, you have the Locust card, you have the Locust God, the Sage of the Falls enters the battlefield. It creates a 1/1 token, which triggers the Sage of the Falls, which lets you draw another card, which lets you trigger the Locust God again, which means you get another 1/1 insect token, which means you trigger the Sage of the Falls again, and so on. Until eventually you have as wide a board as you like of evasive threats that have haste. So you can hopefully just kill them all in one go with that. So this was around. It wasn't the best Indomitable Creativity deck before. That was the Velmokis Lorehold Time Warp deck. And once that combo went away, the plain old Mystics Mastery combo with Magma Opus and that kind of stuff sort of was just the most powerful thing you could be doing in the colors. So this deck kind of fell off the map. And we are running Mystics Mastery and Magma Opus as well. Magma Opus is especially flexible in this deck because it's a graveyard-based threat that the opponent has to respect, so they need to have their Rest in Pieces or their Cling to Dust or whatever. But it's also just creates a treasure. And this deck just wants a bunch of random material on the board. So Magma Opus is one way that we have to do that. That also happens to be a flexible threat. But we also got this new card, Hard Evidence, which is 1 mana for to create a 0/3 blue crab creature token, which can be sacrificed or destroyed by the Indomitable Creativity. And we also investigate. Which gives us a clue token that can be hard for the opponent to kill in response to creativity. So normally the big threat when you cast Indomitable Creativity, the easiest way for the opponent to interact with it is to just destroy whatever you have on the board in response. That's harder to do with random treasure token or artifact token. So that's really the only new card that we have available. In terms of other ways to get material on the board, we have 4 copies of Shark Typhoon, just a solid card. Gives you some hope in Game 1 against the control matchups. 1 copy of Valakut Awakening, which can be good if you only get the Locust God on the field. If you do get the Locust God on the field. And holy crap, Apex Gaming Esports with a rate of 42. Thank you very much. Let me get through the deck tech and then I'll thank you properly. If you get the Locust God on the field, then you cast Valakut Awakening, you can create a bunch of insects that have haste all at once, and they get in, and you can kill them. Also, it's a way to put your combo pieces back in the deck. So say you draw your Sage of the Falls or your Locust God, now you can't hit them with Indomitable Creativity anymore. Well, now you can do that with your Valakut Awakening. So in the board, we have... Jesus, wow, hi everyone. In the board, we have the same stuff that used to be in the board for control matchups with the previous Indomitable Creativity decks. We have 2 copies of Narset and 2 copies of Dispute, or 3 copies of Dispute, in fact. We also have 2 copies of Commence the Endgame as an uncounterable threat. We also have Nezahal as both an uncounterable threat and a target for creativity. So you don't want the opponent to be able to just kill your Locust God or Sage of the Falls in response, and then you look stupid. Before the combo can really go off. So in those matchups, you want to bring in Nezahal because it's much harder for them to interact with. So that's the deck. Let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Wow, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it very much. So, it's good to see you guys. I was not expecting that big a raid off the top. But with you guys, Fabio Salsa stands no chance. That is a hand. That is a hand of magic cards. Opponent's mulliganed. We are on the draw. We have 2 ways to create a treasure token. It's possible the opponent can't interact with us meaningfully. I think we can kind of keep this, honestly. We just need to draw 1 land and we're pretty happy. Let's give it a go. As weird as it is to keep 3 of these, it is kind of like a mull to 5, but at the same time, if we were mulling to 5, this would be a pretty busted 5 cards. It's also game 1. If this was game 2 or 3, we'd have to be a little worried because the opponent's more likely to be able to interact with our combo, so just having the combo in our opening hand isn't as valuable as it otherwise would have been. But in game 1, they're much less likely to be able to deal with the pieces that we put on the board. Opponent is in the tank about their mulligan decision here. They've already mulled once. Okay, they've decided to stay on 6. Rootbound Crag tapped. Sure. We don't hit our land, but we have a few more pulls at it. Shatterskull Smashing tapped and Llanowar Elves. So we're probably up against one of the more awkward Gruul draws of all time. I think here we don't have any way to interact with this Llanowar Elves, which kind of sucks. But I think we'll probably be just a little too fast for them. We do need to get to turn 5 to cast the Creativity. But we're just going to cycle the Opus end of turn here. Excuse me. And we can make a treasure token with the Opus, which we can either use for mana or for creativity fodder, and we can create the shark token as well to get our X equals 2. Alright. Okay, so we'll play the Opus here. We do find Hard Evidence as well, which is kind of the all-star card in the deck. Now, we can kill the Llanowar Elves now if we like, with the Prismari command. I think what I would rather do is just cast Prismari command, make a treasure, loot away 2 of these useless creativities, and try to hit our land drop to be able to combo off next turn. So let's do that. I seriously doubt that the opponent is actually going to be able to kill us from 18 on this turn. Fauna Shaman. So I don't know exactly what I'm up against here. Haven't played a whole lot since the Jumpstart came out. Hey, Christmas! Good to see you too. Harmonic Prodigy. Prowess. An ability of a shaman or other wizard you control triggers. That ability triggers an additional time. Sure. And Rage Forger. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on each other shaman you control. Okay, are all these shamans? I didn't even notice. Okay, most of them are shamans. Whenever a creature you control with counter attacks, it deals an extra damage, basically. Sure, that's fine. So we're taking a bit here, but I think we just have the combo. This is gonna hurt, but I think we're okay. So we're taking 11 here. Alright, give me a treasure token, and we'll loot 2. We will be very sad if we miss our untapped land. But we don't, because we're very good at this game. So we'll pitch both of these creativities. Are we actually dead? Do we actually have the mana that we need? I think we might actually be dead here, unfortunately. I think I mathed wrong. So we have 6 mana here. And we need to use one of these treasures, actually, in order to live. I was thinking we could play the Hard Evidence here. Oh, no, because we can use the treasure token. We're good, we're good. The Investigate token, rather. Alright, make sure we don't target the treasure, which will fizzle immediately. And here we go. We will draw that card. And we will discard a card. And now we make an insect. And we will draw that card. And we will discard that card. And we're okay. This is the combo. This is what we're trying to do. Opponent has no way to interact with this. They're totally tapped out. And we're going to make a shitload of tokens. It's relevant. We're not going to mill ourselves. We are going to show the opponent a good chunk of our deck here, unfortunately. But they'll get the idea soon enough, hopefully, and just scoop. I'm pretty glad I didn't trip all over myself in this first game. I haven't played with this deck yet. Maybe I won't show the Dwarven Mine. Alright, that's 9. I guess there's always the chance that I'll misclick and screw this up somehow. I think I actively want to show them the Mizzix Mastery so that they feel the need to play around that instead of the actual combo. Fabio is just letting us go off here. It's nice to see. It does suck that we have to kill them from 20 here. Okay, none of these things have reach, right? Yeah, okay, there you go. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to stop at 20 and then immediately regret it. Alright, so we're up against Gruul Shamans, which is weird. It doesn't seem like they'll have any instant speed way to deal with our combo. We have a 5 toughness creature and a 4 toughness creature, so they probably won't be able to deal with that. Aether Gust seems pretty good. Don't think we're interested in Nezahal, Commence, Narset, Dispute. Maybe Unsubstantiate. What don't we like? I guess is the better question. Anger of the Gods seems pretty good. Mizzix Mastery, Magma Opus seem really, really good. I don't want to cut the Shark Typhoons because we need the fodder. Oh, it's got to be the Miscasts, right? The Miscasts are what come out. And I think this is fine. The only thing that you might consider bringing in here, another Anger. Anger's probably okay too, especially on the draw. I might take out Anger on the play. And what else? Blink of an Eye seems medium against the deck that's all haste threats. It's just worse than our Aether Gusts. I don't think I want the Unsubstantiates, for the same reason. I think Unsubstantiates are better when there's a reasonable chance that they'll protect one of our creatures, but I don't see that being a problem. Let's just go with this. Thank you for the follow, Teddy Boy. I know that was a while ago, but I'm pretty bad at paying attention to my alerts. But I appreciate it all the same. So, we have the Sage of the Falls in our opening hand here, which is pretty far from ideal. It's also only a 2-lander. We do have a lot of good pieces, but we're kind of stuck either acknowledging that we're never going to cast the combo this turn, or having to hit our one of Valakut Awakening. So if we win this game, it'll probably be on the back of the Opus Mastery combo. I think I'm down to mulligan this. Now we have another combo piece, but at least now with the mulligan we can put it on the bottom. So this is a slow hand, but I'm not going to 5. If we draw Mizzix Mastery, it's just the Stone Cold Nuts. Hard Evidence is pretty good too. Unfortunately, we can't cast it on 1. But there is some chance that we'll be able to actually use the O3 to block. So I'm not sure what the Shaman payoffs really are. I mean, they got a lot of power and toughness on the board last game, but this is just it kind of seems just like a worse Gruul. So let's start by casting Hard Evidence and just try to stay alive, because I think we're under enough pressure. Dwarven Mine, we need to control 3 other mountains, so we would need to fetch a mountain anyway. Alright, I'm just going to play the mountain as they go. Maybe I should have played the Fable Passage instead. Alright, what are we fetching? The Harmonic Prodigy again, okay. So we could be in some trouble. We do have Memory Lapse available next turn. Yeah. So we're taking 5 here? Yeah. Or 6 even, because it doubles because of the Prodigy. That's pretty cool. Realistically, can we block here? There's probably no reason to, just because it's going to be able to block something bigger next turn anyway. I think we just say no blocks. If we do have to throw away this crab, we're probably going to lose anyway. That's a reasonably good draw, except because I played the Fabled Passage didn't play the Fabled Passage last turn. I don't have the mana to cast it. So I think we're probably pretty screwed. Yeah, I definitely should have played the Fabled Passage the previous turn. I think we're host. Let's see what they do. Even the Mastery combo, I don't think is good enough here. Alright, well, we can't let that resolve. But that's coming next turn, too. We're taking 4, 8, 10, 11, 13. Actually, we're taking a bunch because this will trigger twice. We're taking like 17 here. We have to block. We have to block one of the 4/4s and we're just dead. Or they can even kill the crab if they want. Yeah, I think this is over. So for 8, 10, 11, we can go to 1 and keep the crab around, which I guess is what we're going to have to do. Oh, did I math wrong? Oh, I did math wrong. Whatever. We were dead anyway. If we let the crab die, then that was over anyway. So that was pretty impressive. Once again, they had the pieces, but I guess the Fauna Shaman helped them with that. This Goblin is a much bigger threat than it looks like. It's basically Goblin Electromancer for creatures. I still think the boarding is fine. Yeah, I think we'll keep this. Boarding as it is. Okay, so we have interaction. We don't have blue mana. We have some very tapped lands. We do have the treasure for blue if we absolutely need it. Hey, okay. Yeah, we got a big raid right at the start of the stream. So I think we'll keep this just because I think we can stay alive with these spells. Yeah, by the way, if you're new to the stream, which almost by definition most of you are, feel free to follow. I also have a YouTube link somewhere. You can follow my YouTube channel where I put all the decks that I play up over there. So you can catch those at your leisure. How are you doing, LK? Yeah, that's it. I had a command for it. Cool. Let me guess. Turn 1, Llanowar Elves again. That does sound like something they would do. Okay, we have the Locust God in our hand, which is unfortunate. So I think the play here is to Fire Prophecy the Locust God back into the deck on the Llanowar Elves. We could let them keep the Llanowar Elves in the hope that they commit more to the board, and we'd be able to cast Anger of the Gods the following turn. There's also something to be said for just cycling the Opus. I think our mana is just a little too awkward to be greedy with the Wrath. I think we're just supposed to kill the Elves now. This also makes it more likely that we'll draw the land that we need. Submitted your updated Rakdos Dragons list to Nerdgirl, and she went 7-2 with it. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so unfortunately we are at the opponent's mercy for this turn. But we can cycle the Magma Opus here for the treasure, and Anger of the Gods the following turn. And we'll also get to make a token off the Dwarven Mine because all of these are mountains. Alright, well, that's not really the one that we want them to play because it does gain them value. This isn't really a great Anger of the Gods turn here, is it? Like, we have the option here of opusing and holding at Memory Lapse for something like Coco. Hard Evidence is okay, but we end up killing our own... We end up killing our own crab if we cast it into the Anger of the Gods the following turn. The same is also true, actually, of any 1/1 that we create with the Dwarven Mine here. So that's unfortunate. If we tap too low here, then we could find ourselves casting the Anger of the Gods and then not having the mana to counter a Coco. So if we cast the Anger of the Gods, I don't think we can also play the Hard Evidence. I think we're just playing this and saying go and countering whatever the opponent does. I think that's the position we find ourselves in. Like, I'm not wrathing this board, but I also can't afford to keep the land in my hand to not have my 1/1 die. If they have Coco, then we get kind of punished here by not getting to use our mana this turn. That shock does kind of suggest that they have it, too. Okay. We like this. This time they get to play out, this will let them play out the creatures that we want to kill. So this will put a +1/+1 counter. This we can't let resolve, right? Because then these become 4/4s. Or at least this becomes a 4/4. So I think we have to lapse this. Now let's see how they attack. So are we going to anger the gods next turn or not? I think we have to, realistically, because they're just going to replay this again, and it was unacceptable this turn, so we can't let it happen next turn either. So we'll just block this here, and we have Mizzet's Mastery, actually, so now we can cast Magma Opus if we want, which would let us kill... We can't kill both the Anarchomancer and the Prodigy. However, if we kill the Prodigy, then this isn't that big a problem anymore, and giving them the discount might get them to commit more to the board into the anger of the gods that we have. So let's cast the Mastery here. And bring back Opus. And we'll kill the Prodigy and the Visionary. And we'll tap. Sure. And now we have a 4/4, so we're unlikely to die. The 4/4 is also food for the Indomitable Creativity that we just drew, which is pretty sweet. And we just hope we don't die here. So there's Coco, which is kind of like the worst case scenario. But as long as their stuff doesn't get above 3 toughness, which it doesn't look like it will, we are going to have one of the best angers of the gods of all time. I don't know how they resist playing this. Okay, well that's probably one way they could resist playing this. Sure. The second Coco is going to be tough to beat. However, if we draw untapped land, then we have the combo again. And they don't have any way to interact with it. So at minimum, we get to... Wow. Yeah, at minimum, we get to anger the gods here. At maximum, we get to win the game. Right, just let me do the math again. X equals 2, we target the 4/4 and the treasure token, and we win the game, right? None of our combo pieces are in the bin. Let's do it. Like, we could anger, and that would be good enough to win on its own. But this is pretty good, too. Alright, and we'll show them the anger just so they know they're beat. Just so they know exactly how beat they were. Deck is pretty sweet, not gonna lie. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 1-0. Yeah, that's about the right expression. That's about how I feel. Alright, we're on an unstoppable train, which will run over Boba Fett over here, who is playing Yorion. What does Yorion mean in Historic right now? I don't think it means good things for us, unfortunately. So this hand is pretty awkward. We only have the creativity. If we have the blue mana, then we can use the hard evidence, but I'm not convinced that the crab is actually going to live. We do have miscast to protect the creativity when on the turn that we cast it. The hand is just so bad. I think we mulligan this. Yeah, the hand just does nothing if we don't draw blue mana. I'm gonna mull this. This is better. We can keep this. I'm gonna put back a Shark Typhoon, and we'll fetch red. So what Yorion decks are in the format? There's Abzan. That seems like it. It seems like what we're up against. I feel like Abzan is going to be... It depends on how they built it, right? Like, our deck kind of folds to instant speed removal, but it does pretty well against sorcery speed removal. So if they're running, like, the version that just runs a bunch of Baffling Ends and Portable Holes and Oaths of Kaya and that kind of thing, then we could be okay. If they're running a bunch of, like, Fatal Pushes and what have you. So this Maze Mind Tome will just die to the Prismari command. Which is kind of cool. Or we can just lapse it. I think we do lapse it. If they want to replay that next turn, then that's fine with me. And if they want to... Because this way they don't even get... We can just Prismari command immediately on their end step. If they don't play it, then we at least get to make a 1/1 Shark. Alright, so they have the Tome again. And let's kill that. We make a treasure. And kill the Tome. Scry's top. Alright, so we have 4 mana available if we're willing to spend the treasure. I don't think we are. I think the play here is to create the 1/1 Shark token on end step, shock in the Steam Vents next turn, and then we have the combo. And hope that they don't have removal. Again, in games 2 or 3, I'd be more concerned about going so all in, but in game 1, the opponent can't interact as well. Now, obviously, if they have, like, Fatal Push or something, then we're most likely going to lose. But at least the Absent version that I ran did not have those things. That sucks, right? So we can't... That turns off... Oh, no, wait, that's fine. Because we can't use the treasure, but we weren't planning on using the treasure for mana anyway. I think this is okay. Yasharn's always a weird one, but we can... Because Indomitable Creativity doesn't sacrifice, it destroys, I think this is fine. And the opponent's tapped out, and we drew the damn Locust God. Ah! Oh, that's so frustrating. That's so frustrating. Okay. So now what? Like, if we cast the Creativity now, we get Sage of the Falls. Which is, like, as medium as it gets. We can't cast the Locust God this turn. Which I think we're going to have to do. We're going to have to get the Locust God on the field, and then cast Creativity to hit the Sage. We're going to have to do it in 2 steps, basically. This is going to be hard, because it exposes it to the sorcery speed removal they're surely running a bunch of. Like, if they have Elspeth Conqueror's Death or something, then this is going to suck. We're going to need the 6th mana to make that happen, so we can't hold this land to cycle. We're just going to have to say go. Yeah, no blocks. Dwarven Mine is not bad. So what's the sequencing here? Do we play the Locust God first, or do we play the Indomitable Creativity first? I think we play the Creativity first, and then play the Locust God the following turn, because we don't want this to get ECD'd, although ECD really destroys us either way. Alright. I think we do this for 2. Just to guarantee that it resolves in the face of some random kill spell, which they don't have. Fire Prophecy. at this point probably been the Fire Prophecy. Nah, we've been the Shark. Nah, the Shark is one of the ways we could actually win this game. We've been the Fire Prophecy. Like, I kind of want to put the Locust God back in the deck in case we draw another Indomitable Creativity. I want to just buy Yorion. So if they have, like, Mythos of Nethroy or something, which they didn't have last turn. Hard Evidence, eh? I mean, we're just slamming the Locust God, and if it resolves, we win, right? Yeah, otherwise they have to kill the Sage in response. They have something now. Okay, well now, last chance, basically. Gotta kill it now. I don't know what that oops is for. Alright. So they have the Mythos, they just chose not to use it right away. I think at this point, now that the Sage is dead, the Hard Evidence isn't really any good either, so we'll bin this, make as much mana as we can to make a big Shark. And get in. So once the Sage is in the bin, we don't really have any way to get it back. At this point, we're on the beat him down with Sharks, kill him with Magma Opus plan. There's the ECD we were worried about, which they could have used on the Sage, which is maybe why they oopsed. And the Maze Mind Tome. Alright, so I think we're probably not getting there this time, but we're going to do our best. Alright, and we have a 6/6 Shark. We're attacking for a 2 in the air plus the 6, so it will be a 2-turn clock. They will play Yorion, which blocks. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one. We're happy to just take 4 here, I'm pretty sure. Is there any reason to cycle the Shark for less than the full amount? Not really, right? Like, if we find... That's kind of annoying, too, actually. If we find the, Magma Opus, we can just cast it next turn. There's Yorion. So I think we're kind of hosed. We could cycle the Shark and look for Memory Lapse. Can we beat a resolved Yorion here? Not really. Actually, I don't think we can. Blink of an Eye maybe does it. Okay, I'm making a decision that if Yorion touches the board, we're basically screwed. Although if I counter the Yorion, well, Memory Lapse will put it on top. I think we're going for Memory Lapse here. Which means just making a 4/4. There's the Opus. It will be taxed, unfortunately. So we're not going to get there this turn. It's too bad that the opponent had both of the perfect answers. They had the Mythos and the ECD. And even if we draw untapped land here, it's not going to be good enough to cast the Opus. So, with that in mind, do we cycle the Opus here? What could we even draw? We could draw Mastery. That's what we could draw. I think that's what we have to do. Okay. Okay. So we'll have to pay the tax on the Opus, but we can afford it. So I think that means we're gonna kill the Knight of Autumn in case they have another Yasharn in hand. And we'll go upstairs. Tap down Yorion and Yasharn, I suppose. And we'll pay the tax. Although, killing the Knight of Autumn is awkward because it puts it in the bin for them to get back with the ECD, and oh my god. Another Magma Opus. Alright. So we just have to try not to die. I think that means we keep the 1/1s back. Like 1/1/1 in the air. And 1 on the ground to block these two so we don't, you know, actually die. And we get them low, and hopefully this Magma Opus is going to be good enough. We'll play the land because we're going to need all the mana that we can get to get through this ECD tax. So they draw another Yorion here. I mean, okay. Oh, that's right. They reset the ECD, so they don't even get the Knight of Autumn back. All right, let's do it. Let's fucking go. I will go upstairs. And I will tap these two. Oh, yeah. How do you like them apples? That feels pretty good. Okay, especially the fact that we had exactly the right amount of mana to play the called Mystic's Mastery when we cycled that Magma Opus there. That was pretty damn good. That was pretty damn good. Alright. So, against Abzan, the question is, do we want to leave in the combo, the Locust God Sage of the Falls combo, against the deck that's sure to bring in a bunch of removal? Or do we want to bail on that and bring in Nizahal instead? Nizahal is not, like, super great against them. They're probably going to bring in Rest in Peace to deal with the Magma Opus Mystic's Mastery, but again, we're kind of okay with that. We just want to force them to answer as many different attack axes as possible. Blink of an Eye is, like, okay against them. Like, if they have, like, ECD or something that we want to protect our creatures from, we can bounce our own stuff in response. I think, though, that Unsubstantiate is just better. Hey, Harambe, you just missed a hell of a game. Welcome, good to see you. We just absolutely got there against Abzan Yorion. Alright. Yeah, it'll be up on YouTube, okay, so don't worry too much about the clipping. Anyway, so we have to decide, really the only decision here is whether or not we want to bring in Nizahal for the combo or not. I don't think we do yet. I think there's a chance in Game 3 that's what we're going to want to do. But I want them to show me that they have the instant speed removal to deal with this combo. Because they had to have two very specific answers to even keep that game going last time. They had to have the ECD and the Mythos of Nithra. And without both of those cards, we were probably going to win. And in fact, we won anyway, even without the combo. So I think we're going to try this and see what happens. His hand is okay. Prismari Command will deal with their... what's it called? Their Maze My Tome. It'll create a treasure for the creativity. Lapse is good against... It is good to protect the creativity as it's resolving. We'll keep this. Thoughtseize makes our hand significantly worse. But against the Thoughtseize deck, we didn't really want to be mulliganing anyway. They take the creativity, which is interesting, and we drew Mystic's Mastery, which actually doesn't play well with the creativity at all, come to think of it. They left the Memory Lapse. So does that mean they have another... They took the creativity instead of the Memory Lapse, which makes me think they don't have another discard spell. Wall of Blossoms is kind of whatever. We drew the second Mastery. So probably what we want to be able to do is Prismari Command and try to dump a Magma Opus in the bin to work with these Masteries. Question is, do we want to hold up Memory Lapse here? What are we worried about on turn 3 out of them? They have, like, Knight of Autumn. They could just buy Yorion. They did mulligan, they're low on cards. I'm gonna hold up the laps. Or, no. Well, I was gonna hold up the laps and play the mountain instead, but I think this is fine. I think it's close. That was obviously a mistake. Kaya is obnoxious, but not that bad. Alright. So I think that what we're doing here is we're just Prismari commanding on their end step to try to dump, like, a Magma Opus in the bin. And then cast this Mastery. Kaya's, like, decent at chewing through graveyards, but the fact that it's sorcery speed makes it feel pretty terrible. There's Knight of Autumn. I think we're okay with this. I think they have Yorion in hand at this point. So we can push Mary Command to kill this and loot too. I think I want to make the Treasurer pretty badly, though. And we're not going to get killed by a 4-3. I think this is fine. So we'll loot 2 and make a Treasure. Find Unsubstantiate, which is not really what the Doctor ordered. I want to keep the Fire Prophecy. I want to keep the Memory Lapse. I guess we're binning one of these Magma Opuses. And I think the Fable Passage, because the Fire Prophecy will, if nothing else, be able to kill the Knight of Autumn and loot us deeper in the deck, and we're more likely to find more land than anything else. So I think this is what we're doing. Find another Fire Prophecy. Okay. So we have the option of Mystics Mastering back the Prismari command, which is something I didn't think of, but it's honestly not very good. Okay, if we Fire Prophecy here, is there anything we'd want to do with any card that we draw? Not really. So I think we are just saying go. And if they play Yorion, we'll probably unsubstantiate it. Thoughtseize. So if we allow this to resolve, what do they take? Probably the Mastery. Are we okay with that? I think I want one more turn with the Mastery in my hand to be able to do something with it. Obviously, Unsubstantiate, not great against the 1-mana discard spell. Alright. So are we killing this Knight of Autumn? I think we are. I don't love it. And I think this Unsubstantiate is just not gonna realistically deal with this Yorion, is it? But then again, Fire Prophecy is just a pretty bad card. And we feel terrible if we draw the Fire Prophecy, if we bin the Fire Prophecy and draw, like, exactly Locust God off the top. But I think this is the way it has to be. Thoughtseize will come next turn. They'll probably take... And the Master is basically a dead card. Nah, alright. Miscast is, like, fine. Fable Passage, sure. Oh, this just kind of sucks. They bought the Yorion. They'll probably play it? I don't know. Would you Thoughtseize again? I think if I was them, I would cast the Thoughtseize again, because obviously we didn't want it to resolve last turn. Let's see if we can scare them. How many cards do we have in exile? Just 3? They might not block this. They probably should, yeah. And I guess we're just saying go. So again, if I was in their shoes, I would cast Thoughtseize here, I think. And they do. This miscast is not getting any better, right? Like, they don't have many instants or sorceries. This is probably one of the only things it counters. So we can bounce the Thoughtseize back to their hand. They just replay it because they only have 1 mana. They take the Mastery. So at least if we let this resolve, we get to keep one of these cards. Not sure what they'll take. I think that's a cowardly pick. I think the Unsubstantiate's probably better. Because Kai is just doing, like, an okay job managing our graveyard. But then again, if we ever draw, like, Magma Opus off the top, then the Mastery becomes much better. So maybe this is fine. Like, from their perspective, maybe it's a fine decision. I will thin the deck. We don't really need any more red. Let's fetch an island. Uh-huh. Where were you a turn ago? Okay. Can't cast it, unfortunately. So I guess we're just unsubstantiating the Orient. I'm not sure if we're cycling the Magma Opus or not for a treasure. But it's not a decision we have to make right now. Oh, they're gonna kill the token. Okay.
You can rest in peace. Just do it somewhere else.
So they're gonna cast the Orient into the face-up unsubstantiate? All they get is a card off of it by flickering the... So Yasharn's annoying. Makes our treasures much worse. How likely are we to draw creativity? Fairly likely, actually. I think this touches the board. I think we let this resolve. Their Yorion gets a little better, but all Flickering Yasharn does is get them extra lands from their deck, and they don't actually have many plains and islands, plains and forests in their deck. So I think this touches the board. I'm gonna cycle the Opus on the chance that we hit creativity. Shark Typhoon ain't bad either. Could even slam it, but we're 1 mana short of doing that and holding up Unsubstantiate. So I think we're just saying go here. So we do. I think the other reason to cycle the Shark Typhoon instead of playing it, other than just obviously being the fastest route to not dying, is that it gets us a little closer to the creativity. So like, I'm not even sure that I want to cycle the Shark Typhoon for the full amount, because I don't want to give up the treasure tokens in case we find creativity off the top. If they don't cast Yorion, that'll be a massive red flag that they have removal in hand to deal with our combo, though. They do it. So if this flickers, they get a card off the Wall of Blossoms. How much mana do we have? We can't use these treasures for mana, don't forget. I don't think there's a difference between a shark for 1 or for 3, so I'm gonna, before I make the decision on the Unsubstantiate, I'm gonna cycle it for 1. We find Magma Opus, again, that we can't cast. So if we put it in the bin, then we'll just, Kaya will just chew it up again. If we draw... Drawing Mastery, we can't cycle the Opus and cast Mastery in the same turn, right? We would also need the land to be able to make that work. Because again, we can't use these stupid treasures because of Yasharn. So maybe the play, in fact, is to bounce Yasharn. I think I like that more. So they get to draw a card. That's whatever. But now if we draw Mastery, then we're live to just be able to play it. Or even, in fact, even if we draw untapped land, then we can cast the Opus, right? Or we can draw Indomitable Creativity and maybe just win the game. That seems pretty good too. So let's do that. We'll cast this for 2. TG Nerd Girl, yeah, 20 viewers, go figure. It's good to see you. How are you doing? And we win. Take that action. And take that action. And take that action. Oh, this feels great. This feels outstanding. Yeah, we got a pretty big raid earlier from Apex Gaming Esports. So that was pretty wild. Okay, 2-0 with the creativity deck. And meanwhile, we're going to kick the crap out of Keeper over here. So we have Fire Prophecy for early removal. We're on the play, which is nice. Hard Evidence is fine. We might actually use the token to investigate, but I think the hand is a little too good to send back, even though we don't have creativity itself. We'll keep this. So I think we're going to play one of these mines next turn. Oh, wow, what is this? Hey, Evil Empire, good to see you. You just missed the raffle, bud. Like, you have terrible timing. We went through the raffle a little earlier, unfortunately. All right. I don't think we want to kill this Gingerbrute right away. I'm going to play the Hard Evidence. And I think we're just going to play one of these Dwarven Mines tapped. Thank you for the follows. Not with Ed, not with EAD, and Alan Howells as well. Chromatic Sphere. Okay, I have no idea what we're up against, but there's Emery. So, I don't know what we're up against, but I do know that Emery must die on sight. And luckily we have the tools to do it. Let's start by just doing that right away. We'll put one of these extra lands back in the deck. And which one to put back? It's gotta be the island, right? Let's see what we draw. My Prismari command, which just seems like the absolute nuts against them. I don't really want to use this token to investigate, do I? Nah. Alright, so we'll play the Steam Vents tapped. And there you go. There's a decent chance we use the Prismari command to kill one of their relevant artifacts. If they have, like, the Black Staff or something. Okay, well, in this case, we can just kill the Emery with the Prismari command, too. So that's kind of nice. Alright, alright. We're definitely not blocking. We find Mastery, which isn't nothing. So, we can either kill the Brute... Actually, we can kill the Brute and the Emery. I was sort of stuck on the idea of making a treasure with the Prismari command, but frankly, we don't need it. So let's do this. Let's play the Dwarven Mine. Prismari command, nah, we don't want to let them untap with the Emery. We can deal 2 and destroy the artifact. We'll deal 2 to Emery. We'll target the Gingerbrute. And win the game. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, blue artifacty stuff. So this is like maybe a Tempered Steel deck. It could be the Blackstaff deck that I tried a few weeks ago and had very little success with. Treasure Vault, very bad against Prismari command. It's just a Stone Rain. Okay. So, what do we want? Unsubstantiate seems pretty good against, what's it called? All the glitters. Dispute seems good. it seems reasonably likely that they'll bring in some manner of counter magic. I doubt they have too many ways to actually interact with our combo. So I think I'm fine not bringing in the Nezahals and keeping in the Locust God and Sage of the Falls. You sent me a DM on Discord. That's cool, Alexander. I will, after this match, I will send you your code. Hopefully you're not in too big a rush. What else? I feel like Miscast is probably pretty medium. I think Mystical Dispute is just a straight upgrade on that. What else is no good? How do you feel about Anger of the Gods against them? I feel like as long as we keep Emery off the board, then we can't realistically lose. So as much as I want to bring in like Commence and Narset and the value cards, as long as we just kill their board, I think we're fine. So what else don't we want? I think Memory Lapse is actually not all that good. Blink of an Eye is like fine. And honestly, I don't know. Like all of our deck just seems so good against them. They're probably going to bring in a bunch of counter spells. Maybe we want to lean a little less heavy on Indomitable Creativity. Nah. We'll lean a little less heavy on the Mastery, I think. Actually, you know what? I think... Yeah, okay, fine. Discipline. Keeping in the answer to Emery. I think if we keep Emery off the board, we win. That's one of the hardest things to sideboard, right? When all of your cards seem pretty good and you don't really believe that your opponent can effectively deal with them. I'm not sure what's right there. Yeah. This is slow, but very good. Yeah, let's keep this. Esper Sentinel, what do you do again? When opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that opponent pays X. It's not bad. So they will get to either tax us or draw a card off the Sentinel. Alrighty then. So there goes one of their negates. They probably don't have that much. Our Anger of the Gods is going to be absolutely insane. Have I seen the version of this to play Sarah's Emissary? I have, and I almost played it today, but I thought that this version would be much more cool. So what land do we play here? It's got to be the Triumph, right? And hold up Dispute. So they're gonna get to draw two off of these Sentinels, unfortunately. Shock's in. Actually, we may not even get to cast the Anger of the Gods next turn either, which is also a concern. Vault Scourge, that's a pretty sweet one. They're going to play the Chromatic Sphere, sure. We take two. Show me untapped land. Alright. We are just gonna slam the Anger here. It sucks they get to draw two. What are you gonna do? We also have the, we also just drew the second Anger of the Gods too. So, whatever they draw, if they commit it to the board, we stand a pretty good chance of just dealing with it right away. Oh my god. Alright. I wonder if that was one of the two cards they drew. We do get a redraw. Or, we do get a mulligan on that. We can... And we get to pay one of the Sentinel costs as well. But should we? Like, if I play the Dwarven Mine next turn, and slam Anger of the Gods with 1 mana backup to be able to dispute their counterspell, do I pay the Sentinel? Because if they have another counterspell, then I don't want to take the Mystical Dispute shields down. They do draw 2 here. They're kind of going off. We obviously don't want to play our Dwarven Mine into the Anger of the Gods here. I think I want to play the island because I actively do want to draw more land for, like, the Shark Typhoon and the Magma Opus are payoffs for having extra land. So let's try this again. And I've decided we're not going to pay. I mean, it's a dead giveaway that we have a counterspell, right? If we're not paying for the Esper Sentinel here. Do you have... What do you have? Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh. I mean... Sure. I guess. Whatever. We're not beating that. That's just a little too good. The 3 1-mana counterspells. And we still have outs, right? We're out of Anger of the Gods. We can draw Mastery. Mastery for Anger. Where were you? I guess we're not strictly dead, right? Like, we can make a 3/3 Shark. Alright. Maybe I'm supposed to dig with the Shark now to try to kill Emery at all costs. Ugh. Again, I think our way back into the game is with Mastery into like a board wipe or something, so I think this resolves. We want to get our 3/3 Shark in play to eat one of these things. Oh my god. They're gonna have to go to discard at this rate. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? This was like their full suite of counter magic, right? Like, they probably only run 2 or 3 negates and maybe 4 copies of miscast total, so they ran into like half their counter magic in probably the top 20% of their deck. How do I feel about that? That's not great, right? How much is this for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a crazy amount. Alright. Yeah, we can't let this resolve because I think our only out is to hit Mastery somehow. And Mastery won't kill this if it's enormous. And I think... Yeah, I think here we pay, because we can still cycle the Shark for 0 next turn if we absolutely need to hit the, to try for another shot at the Mastery. Alright, so this is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we draw exactly Creativity off the top, how do we feel? We can cycle the Opus for a treasure and have 4 mana left over, which is not going to be good enough. But the difference between going to 3 and going to 2 is not that large either. I guess no blocks. Prismari Command, a good card against them, of course, but not really good enough here. I think it's Mastery or Bust. So let's thin the deck. They also have this conspicuous 2 mana available as well, and they attacked with Emery, when they could have cast something out of their graveyard, right? I guess they couldn't have. Maybe we're not totally dead. I just feel super dead. I thought it was Mastery. I thought it was Mastery, the red card off the top. But we're obscenely dead here. So. You got me, opponent. Okay. So... maybe against this opponent, then. So, like, the question is, like, did they just get really lucky drawing a bunch of counter magic? Or did they happen to just have a crazy amount of counter magic to prepare for this matchup in particular? Because it affects whether or not we bring in the Nezahal, right? I think I'm happy to bring in the Nezahal instead of the Sages here. And I'm not really sure about keeping in the masteries either for the Magma Opuses, just because it's so slow. Like, the sorcery speedness of it really sucks. Maybe we're just supposed to play, like, Izzet control against them. And bring in, like, commence the end game, memory lapses, that kind of thing. Just completely cut out the Magma Opus or Mystics Mastery package. I'm pretty sure we want these Mescasts now, having seen all that counter magic. And we'll bring in, and since we're bringing in the counter magic, I think it makes sense to cut the masteries, because we're just going to want to hold up our mana at pretty much all times when we're not, wiping the board. And if we're cutting the masteries, then the opuses get worse. I don't think I want to cut all of them, because it is just a KO in the it is just a KO in the late game. I think I like this. Actually, I think I want one more Magma Opus because it's instant speed. I'm going to cut one of the Indomitable creativities. Because, again, I don't want to be tapping out too much. Give this a try. Gotta open that package. I gotta know what's in that package, Alexander. This hand is fine. Prismari Command's pretty good. So remember, we're not really a combo deck at this point anymore. We're just a control deck that has combo elements. I think, given that understanding, we keep this. Do we play the Triumph tapped? There's like a non-zero chance we cycle this, right? We have 5 lands already. It is a mountain for our Dwarven Mines. But we have 3 mountains already, if you count the Fable Passage. Let's just play the Steam Vents tapped and hold open the option to cycle this later in the game. Shocked Hollow Fountain. Esper Sentinel. We find creativity. Even though we cut one. Let's get our mountain in play. Blink of an eye. Don't want to be bouncing the Sentinel, obviously. The 1-drop isn't a great target. Let's see if they give us one. Blackstaff is going to be a fine Prismari Command target. We can also bounce it. Don't really want to bounce the Sentinel here because they'll just replay it. Like, they probably don't have anything else to do with this 1 mana anyway. So how does this work? Another target non-token artifact controls you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature for as long as it remains tapped. So if we bounce the Water Staff, then this, like, whatever they animate becomes just, a normal thing. I think we're going to be greedy and hold this Blink of an Eye for value. Also, casting it now gives them an extra card, which I don't particularly want to do. Let's get our mountain in play, in case we draw, like, Dwarven Mine or something. And I guess we're saying go. Mox Amber. They don't have a legendary creature or planeswalker yet. So is Emery here? Emery is here. If we cast Prismari Command into another miscast, we feel awful here. But I think we do it anyway. And I guess before they get their mill trigger off... No, maybe they'll spend this mana on something else to make our decision easier. It's not like they can do anything with their graveyard yet anyway. Oh, we're so getting miscast here, right? There's just no doubt. But we're gonna try. So we'll kill Emery and kill... I guess the Blackstaff, realistically. We could kill the Mox Amber, and then have free reign on our turn. But I think we're just killing the Blackstaff here. Also, the option to make a treasure to make our Indomitable creativity better, which might have been the way to go. But I just feel so convinced that this is not going to resolve anyway. It resolved. That's unbelievable. Okay. Game on, then. So we'll hold up the kicked blink of an eye, or a 2-2 shark. In fact, we can flash in the 2-2 shark and eat this sentinel, which makes our life much easier. What are these cards? Chromatic Sphere's fine. They don't attack, so they saw the Shark Typhoon coming as well. Regardless, we're gonna make the token. Because we have creativity in hand. Another Prismari Command is excellent. Another Shark Typhoon is also pretty good. Are we going to attack? Probably. We can put a bunch of pressure on them with this second Shark Typhoon. And I think I want to make the second Shark. Well, the Locust God is not incoming, because we boarded out the Locust God. We can Creativity the 2-2 and hit a Nezabal. But if they counter it, then we are extremely sad. And I don't think we need to do that. We can hold up Prismari Command or Shark Typhoon on their turn. I'm not going for creativity here. And they did nothing with their mana. This is 100% a ton of counterspells. Nettle Cyst. That's fine. So that's like a reasonable blink target as well. We're not attacking. So we can cycle the shark, attack for a boatload, and hold up Blink of an Eye on their turn. And if they do have a counterspell, at least we're not letting them spend this 2 mana on their turn. Well, actually, they don't, right? They have they don't have a legend for the Mox Amber, so they have 1 mana, so it has to be miscast exactly. We're gonna cycle the shark though. Just try to get him dead. Like, if their hand is full of counter magic, the last thing they want to see is 5 unblockable power in play. Fire Prophecy is also pretty good. Hard Evidence is fine. So we'll play this tapped. And I think we're just probably saying go here. We can play Hard Evidence. But if we don't play Hard Evidence, that means we get to Blink of an Eye and Prismari Command, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, I think I like that more. Sure. You got it. Do we blink this token? Yeah. If we can get them tapped out, then Indomitable Creativity gets much better. I want to have the Creativity available. Or the Prismari Command available. But if they play Emery, we have Fire Prophecy. I'm going to pay for the Sentinel. And if they counter this, they counter this. Sure. So that gets it through the if I hadn't paid, I would have been able to pay for the miscast, but I think this is fine. I think I will kill the Sentinel, but I think we have the luxury of waiting until our turn to do that. Or until the end step. We've already been taxed by the Sentinel once this turn. So if they have another counterspell and they spend it here, then obviously we're thrilled. We'll put back the Hard Evidence. Another Prismari Command is pretty sweet. Commence the end game is outstanding. Alright. I think we got him, guys. Kraken Chromatic Sphere is not really where they want to be. Nettle Cyst? Sure. So we can Prismari Command and try to kill this Nettlecyst, but I think it's pretty likely, given the way this game has gone, that they have a counterspell. So let's play the uncounterable thing. This deck feels pretty sweet. This deck feels pretty damn sweet, I've gotta say. So let's take a look at the list. We're 3-0. That's as far as we're gonna go with this. I don't think this is the best version of Indomitable Creativity and Historic. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think the main combo, Sage of the Falls and Locust God, is a little too weak and requires a little too much of your Indomitable Creativity. It's not always easy to cast creativity for X equals 2. And we saw in the game against Abzan that it folds pretty hard to instant speed removal. And if you draw either of the combo pieces, I don't think you can easily recover from that. I don't think the mechanisms in the deck are good enough. You can have Fire Prophecy, which is only good if the opponent has a creature. You have your one of Valakut Awakening, and that's really about it. You can also scry things to the bottom when you mulligan as well. That's about it. But what is really cool about this deck, and what might make it tier 1 going forward, is that it can attack on so many different axes. Like, blue-red is the place to be in Historic right now. You have the Indomitable Creativity, Mizzix Mastery, and Magma Opus. And though it's very hard to have a hand or a control deck that deals with all three of those things at the same time. So if you can get to the late game, you're probably winning, is the impression that I get. And the 4 copies of Shark Typhoon are also kind of unsung heroes in this, because it's an all-star against pretty much everything in the format. It either makes your tokens for creativity against aggro, it keeps you alive as life gain blocking a random aggro creature, or it just beats down control decks, and we saw it do that just now against the Blackstaff deck as well. So that's pretty cool. All right. I guess we're done with this one.